All right, welcome to the warm-up. It is week 10. It is a spooky week because we got Halloween. I know my man Jeff always tells me he's got the mounds and almond joys for the kids that come by his house. That means I'm skipping your house because I don't like coconut. But that's just the way it is with me. I'll eat anything, as you know, but I'm not eating no coconut. Anyway, I'm off track. Let's get into some of these games, Jeff, and talk about what's going to happen in week 10. We're going to start off with the lineup. All right, we're starting off with Angleton at LaPorte. You know, Jeff, you did that great piece on LaPorte's new stadium, and they've actually used it to its utmost. They had 8 home games out of the 10 games because they want to show off that stadium. And the stadium was built for games like this. This Angleton-LaPorte game very well could be seen 2 times. Who do you think comes out on this first time?
Well, both teams undefeated in district play at 5-0. Angleton 8-0 overall. LaPorte 7-1 overall. You know, Angleton has not had a close game all season. I actually saw them play Porter, and that was a 7-3 game at halftime. But then Angleton outscored the Spartans 35-0 in the third quarter and won 56-10. Their quarterback Bryce Duran is having a great season, close to 1,400 yards passing and 18 TD passes, not to mention 7 on the ground. I like Caleb Jammer, too, the wide receiver, son of Quentin Jammer, leads the Wildcats in receiving with close to 90 yards receiving per game and 12 TDs. Wesley Jackson at 54 yards receiving per game was also a threat at receiver. And Wyatt Nealon getting the job done on the ground, about 90 yards rushing per game and 10 touchdowns, along with Jaden Moore, who has 11 touchdowns. So Angleton, that's a lot of offense there. They're really mixing it up and doing a great job of keeping teams off balance. But LaPorte, I mean, let's just say it. Sean Simon, he's the one man, and you got to try to stop him if you're Angleton. 226 yards rushing per game, close to 2,000 on the season, 22 touchdowns. He's only a sophomore. And I tell you what, Ashton Ruffin is a great counterpart. 104 yards rushing per game, 10 TDs, and they can throw it around a little bit too. You know, Aiden Signs close to 700 yards passing, as well as Peyton Smith. And Peyton Smith is a receiver for them that can get open, about 77 yards receiving per contest, 8 touchdowns. Both of these teams are just loaded. I think it's going to come down to who can stop the other opponent, especially down the stretch. It'll be packed. It's the game everybody always talks about every year. It's on Halloween night. It's going to be a blast. You know, and you know what? District 11 5A Division I goes through these 2 teams, but keep an eye on Crosby. They're 4-1 in district. They're in 3rd place. They only lost to LaPorte by 7 last week, 28-21. The rest of the 3 teams in the hunt all have 2 and 3 records, including Friendswood, Kingwood Park, and Porter. So this will shake out, and we'll see what happens after this.
Yeah, this will most likely be for the district title, but Angleton does finish off with Crosby at the end of the season. I'm hearing that Angleton may be a little banged up right now, too, right? Duran was sitting the last game, so let's hope he shakes things off. Hey, we talked about how North Shore is going through the gauntlet here at the end of the season. We talked about them last week on the warm-up. We're going to talk about them next week on the warm-up. And guess what? We're talking about them this week on the warm-up because they're playing those upstarts from C.E. King at Sheldon ISD Stadium.
Well, both teams 5-0 in district. Sounds similar, right? Both 7-1 overall. North Shore coming off an impressive 47-28 win over Atascocita, a game North Shore was up big pretty much throughout. It was never close. Ever since that week 1 loss to South Oak Cliff, which was only 41-31, the Mustangs have looked pretty much unbeatable, winning 7 in a row. They've outscored their opponents 426-97. You know, they got that east side on the back of their jerseys. Kind of cool. They're repping the east. You know, and their quarterback, Caleb Maryland, I mean, Ward, this guy is amazing. 2,140 yards passing, 24 TDs through the air, 4 on the ground. He can run. Had a big 63-yard run last week against Atascocita, so he's got some speed. But their threat on the ground is definitely Hezekiah Johnson, averaging 66 yards per game on the ground. He's got 12 touchdowns. And they've got a whole plethora of receivers, led by Jalen McCard, about 100 yards receiving per game. He's got around 800 for the season, 9 touchdowns. And then I always got to mention LaDamian DeFries. He's kind of a threat down around the end zone, the 5 touchdown catches, and he's solid. So, but C.E. King, you know, they've outscored their opponents 431-213. They've won 6 in a row. Deion Sims is their big threat, of course, 135 yards rushing on the ground. The senior's got 18 TDs. His rushing counterpart, Arion Montgomery, about 70 yards rushing per game, is only a sophomore. And Antoine Sanders can also get it done on the ground, about 60 yards rushing. And when they throw it, look out for Timothy Potts, 1,249 yards passing, 19 TDs through the air, and his favorite target is Dylan Mitchell with 12 touchdown catches. So this game's going to go a long way in deciding the district title. C.E. King has kind of been the story all year. North Shore has quietly just kind of come right through as they normally do. And here it is, a chance to prove what they can do now in basically the second to last game of the season.
I like that you mentioned Dylan Mitchell because he has kind of been, if you can, with 12 touchdowns, he's been kind of overlooked. And he's had a very stellar season receiver because everybody talks about the speed at the running back position.
Yeah.
Move back up north to Cypress, we probably have another district title in the making here at 16-6A when undefeated Cy Ranch takes on Bridgeland up there at FCU.
Yeah, Cy Ranch 6-2, but they are 5-0 in district. Bridgeland 6-2, but 4-1 in district play. And keep an eye on, we got Waller and Cy Springs, both 3-2. They're going to play each other this weekend. More on that in a moment. And Langham Creek in the mix at 3-2 in district play. But Cy Ranch has been on a roll since losing to Memorial 21-20 in non-district, winning 5 in a row, all in district. Braden Baker's their quarterback, almost 1,800 yards passing, 21 touchdown passes. Peyton Thomas gets it done on the ground. He's very versatile, along with Christian White and Jordan Ruth. Bridgeland, on the other hand, you know what? They beat Dawson and Tompkins early on. Those are now very impressive wins. They did have the loss to Cy Springs, 49-48 in kind of a shootout, but their big threat is on the ground. Cash Schwab, 146 yards rushing per game. I watched him against Waller. Their offensive line does a nice job of just moving the ball down the field. They work that line of scrimmage. Henry Saline also has got about 62 yards receiving. And Tyler Beagle, who's committed to the University of Houston, has got 16 touchdown passes, not to mention about 1,300 yards passing, but he can run as well. I think he's kind of that wild card, if you will. He's a guy that can get it done through the air or on the ground.
That should be interesting. Yeah, like you said, we'll talk a little bit more about 16-6A a little later on. But right now I got a chance to talk to LaPorte head coach Kevin Berneathy about that big game and how he feels his Bulldogs are looking going into it. We are joined with LaPorte head coach Kevin Berneathy. And, Coach, I got to believe when you built that humongous, beautiful stadium, it was for games like this and games like the Deer Park game that started off the season. You got to be happy to have this one at home and get to show off that thing for the whole state to see. And how excited are you to get this district title match going?
I mean, our home crowd all year has been good. We've been supported really well by our community playing at home, and I feel like we've played other than one game, we've played pretty good at home. So we're excited just to have another test against a quality opponent. Who we have a little history with last year, and just looking forward to, just blessed to be in the situation we're in and going into this game of being undefeated in district. We played a really good Crosby team 2 nights ago, and we didn't play very well, so we know we need to play better, and just looking forward to us doing that.
Yeah, we talked about that game in our podcast. A little worried that maybe a trap type game because Angleton's coming up. But and on the flip side, to be able to play, as you said, not your best and still come out with the win, you got to be able to take something from that, knowing that you can still find ways to win even if you're not at your best.
Yeah, we talked to the team about that. Is sometimes you got to get gritty and grimy and find ways to win. The ball's not bouncing your way, and things aren't going your way. Overcoming adversity. I mean, that's the things we build our program on. So we're definitely proud of the fact that we were able to find a win Friday night at a tough place on the road. It was only our second road game of the year. It's been a kind of a flip, like we're not kind of used to playing on the road now. So I was proud of our team and finding a way to win.
That's kind of wild that you brought that up. Only 2 road games through 8. And you're going to be playing home, obviously, this week against Angleton. It's even more important for you to get that home field advantage for at least one more playoff game because you're so used to it, right?
I mean, I think that's, one thing we talk about within our program. We talk about 3 different seasons. We talked about the pre-district season, the district season. One of our goals is always to win the district championship and host the first round playoff game. So that's just one thing that we want to be able to do. So, we have an opportunity to accomplish a goal this week.
difficult to play your team because of your ground attack, and it's coming at you a lot of different ways. It took a hit midway through the season because Ashton Ruffin was down, but he's back and healthy, correct? And now with Sean out there averaging up over 200 yards a game, and Ashton Ruffin being that big bruising back as well, talk about how that's kind of worked in your advantage as in wearing down your opponent.
Yeah, so I mean, we're a lot better offensively, of course, more explosive with Ashton on the field. He's a good blocker. He's a good runner. He's a good route runner. He's just a great football player, and he's a really good linebacker also. So he plays pretty much the entire game. Yeah, the two good backs we're blessed to have. Our offensive line is big and physical. But the one thing that I've been proud of this year is, and even in the Crosby game the other night, one thing that really helped us win the game was our ability to throw the ball. We've thrown for over 1,000 yards this year. Peyton Smith has 7 touchdown catches. He has over 600 yards receiving. He's a sophomore, big-time receiver that's starting to show up just like we thought he would. I think our running game is definitely something people have to be worried about. But now I also think play action pass and things of those natures that they got to start paying attention to. So having Ashton out there, he's a good guy to get the ball to, running or throwing. So he's a good player.
Well, it's definitely our game of the week. Matter of fact, I told my shooter, let's go. Get down there at 4:30 and just sit in the parking lot. Otherwise, you're not going to get in there. So we're ready for it. Thank you for joining me, man. We will talk to you down the line.
Yeah, I appreciate y'all and everything y'all do to support our athletic programs, in the city of Houston and our players, and spotlight, big opportunities like this week's game. And I know it's been circled on a lot of people's calendars for a while, and we're just excited that we're in this situation we are, because a lot of things can happen throughout a season.
Absolutely. It's going to be a heck of a Halloween game. So I'll talk to you later, Coach. Thank you.
All right, you have a good one.
The Houston area Chevy dealers. Visit your nearest Chevy dealer to test drive our award-winning products. Parker University. Check out our bachelor's degree in strength and human performance today.
The warm-up is brought to you by Kinder's Texas Bowl. The Big 12 and SEC face off at NRG Stadium on December 27th. Join the waitlist for tickets at kinderstexasbowl.com.
All right, thanks, Coach. I appreciate that. That's going to be a packed house for sure for that one. Hey, let's go back to 16-6A as we start up the agenda. This game is more or less an elimination game. It very well could be an elimination game for the playoffs, so they're going to put everything on the line. 11 a.m. on Saturday morning, Waller against Cy Springs. Must win for both of them.
Yeah, both teams 3-2 in district play. Waller's 5-3 overall. Cy Springs 6-2. TK Gaines, I was just talking with their head coach. He's got 1,575 yards passing, 16 touchdowns through the air. But here's the stat that kind of will throw you off. 535 yards rushing and 9 rushing TDs. He's young. He can get the ball done. He really is their offense. When I saw them play Bridgeland did a nice job of kind of containing him. They almost put like a spy on TK Gaines, and that might be the trick. But when that happens, they got to kind of figure out a way to get the ball on the ground, and they can run the ball. They got quite a few guys that can definitely carry the rock. So we'll see how balanced they can be against Cy Springs. Of course, when you talk about Cy Springs, you talk about Paris Melvin Jr., 84 yards rushing per game to go with 49 yards receiving, 17 touchdowns, and then 10 on the ground. He's just so versatile. A lot of times he'll run out of the Wildcat. Miles Hamilton, their quarterback, he's having a great season as well. 13 touchdown passes. He's also a threat on the ground. Miles can get it done. But, man, when you got a guy like Paris Melvin out there, you just find a way to get that guy the ball in space. I see this game really deciding maybe that final playoff spot.
Yeah, you bring up Paris Melvin. We're going to have a story on him this Saturday night about how he's kind of flipped the fortune over there at Cy Springs. We were always an afterthought for the playoffs. We're like, they'll never make it. Now they made it the last 2, and they're trying to make it 3 with the big one here against Waller.
Yes.
Let's move into 9-5A Division II. Well, we kind of forgot about Fort Bend Marshall because they had so much trouble scoring early in the season. A lot of that had to do with the injury to Caden Johnson, who's now back with them. Still not scoring at a rapid pace, but they're not out of the playoffs yet. and it's going to take a win against Texas City, and not only a win, but they got to win this game by 5 points to leapfrog Santa Fe. Otherwise, they're going to be out. So this is a must-win for Fort Bend Marshall. Maybe not as much for Texas City, but it'll still be a huge Saturday morning game.
Yeah, no doubt. Marshall is 2-3 in district play, 4-3 overall. Texas City coming in 5-2, 4-1 in district play, and 9-5A Division II. And Texas City has outscored their opponents 145-61. They are tied with Iowa Colony at 4-1 in this district. So they kind of need a win, to keep pace with those top two teams in the district. Well, like you mentioned, Marshall, Caden Johnson, even despite the injury, still has over 800 yards passing, 9 total touchdowns, and about 300 yards rushing. Philip Kendrick is the threat on the ground, and Dylan Waters is definitely a receiving threat, about 50 yards receiving per game. But as you mentioned, just a huge game for Marshall. You almost kind of feel like if they can find a way to pull everything together, they might get that mojo back they had last year. But obviously, Texas City is going to have a lot to do with that, and they've got a great defense. So I would watch up for that matchup. Texas City's defense going against Caden Johnson, the quarterback from Marshall.
And finally, let's finish off in 21-6A. Guess who's going for a district title? I mean, it shouldn't shock you, considering Ridge Point has won, I think, 11 of the last 12. Maybe it was 10 of the last 11. Whatever it is, that's all they do over there. And they're going for it again against Hightower Thursday night.
Yeah, Ridge Point 8-0, 5-0, number one in the area for a reason. And Hightower, 6-2, 4-1 in district. I mean, that's impressive, in 21-6A. And Fort Bend Travis is right there with them at 4-1 in district play. Of course, Brody Bartee gets it going for Ridge Point. He's the quarterback, over 1,300 yards passing, 17 touchdowns through the air. Aiden Akins, really big threat on the ground, around 600 yards rushing, 16 TDs. And Balin George, of course, he's the receiving threat, 600 yards receiving, just a plethora of receivers over there at Ridge Point. I mean, they can beat you in so many ways. And then Hightower, it all starts with their running back, Kylan Davis. He's also the quarterback, I should say. But his stats are so impressive. He looks like he could be a running back. 2,000 yards passing, 23 touchdown passes. He averages about 105 yards rushing per game. That's what I was alluding to. And then, of course, Maiden Montgomery can also get the job done on the ground, as well as their receiver, Corey Robertson, over 100 yards receiving per contest. So Hightower has kind of quietly put together this 4-1 record. And, I'm not saying they're going to beat Ridge Point, but, try to find a way to keep this close. And maybe they can get a loss from Fort Bend Travis and stay in the hunt.
Yeah, I mean, a plethora of great games this week. We couldn't even touch on all of them. Jeff Power's going to be at 2 great ones. You'll be at Kingwood Park with Friendswood as they fight for that last playoff spot. And then Montgomery's hosting P&G for a district title. Wear a quick, cute little costume, a little funny little original creative Halloween costume, and Jeff will get you on the air. I promise you, if it hits him in the head with creativity, he'll throw that camera right up on you. We'll get you in the highlights for sure. No Jeff, doubt. I appreciate you joining us, man. We'll see you down the line. We're going to leave you now with the coaches' rankings for Week 9. See what kind of movement's been going on. I know Magnolia's made a move up because of their big win last week. So we leave you now with the coaches' rankings.